I'm actress Mila Jovovich, and I will be portraying Dr. Abigail Tyler. This film is a dramatization of events that occurred October 2000. Every scene in this movie is supported by archived footage. Some of what you're about to see is extremely disturbing.
I was about to buy into this bullshit too until I heard y'all talking about it before we started recording.
Oh, you mean the fourth kind?
The fourth kind.
Bullshit.
What, you don't want to believe? I want to believe.
Yeah. No.
To me, this is like too soonly piggybacked on Paranormal Activity.
Soonly?
Yes, she's the 17-year-old daughter of Woody Allen.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, no, what kind of alien language are you speaking right now?
Daughter for now.
Yeah. No, I saw this movie, and what it's trying to tell you is that in a place, what is this place in Alaska called? Nome, Alaska. Where gnomes apparently exist, because that's about as plausible as the shit that they're trying to tell us.
That you almost bought until we told you.
I didn't buy it, but I didn't know anything about it. I was like, okay, see, in this film, what they're trying to do is that they're centering on this woman named Abigail Tyler, who is a psychologist, and she starts to interview patients who all have the same dream. They all see, and even the dream is crazy. They all see an owl who just stares at them all night. Now, what this has to do with alien abductions, I don't know.
Well, I mean, you see an owl. Of course, you go up to him and ask him, Mr. Owl, how many licks does it take to get to the Tootsie Roll center of a Tootsie?
And then he says,
1, a 2, a 3.
No, then he answers you in alien language. He says,
which I translate to mean the owl ate my Tootsie Roll. I never found out.
But no, so and what this leads up to is that you put these people into a deep hallucinogenic sleep, and somewhere in between that sleep,
well, it's you hypnotize them.
Hypnotize. You're not giving them acid.
Oh yeah,
Jesus.
No, because they see.
They're both H words.
No,
basically you chloroform them, and after you have sex with them,
You shoot them up in the head.
hear me out. I'm saying hallucinogenic because what they see ain't real. Because they come out of it trying to convince us, like these people say, "Oh shit, I'm in a deep sleep and I'm recalling something that these aliens have done to us, and not only do I come back telling you what I've experienced, but somehow I'm speaking the language of these aliens and telling you what they say." And
well, we've been sold as a society on hypnotism by entertainment. Like, oh, it's all powerful hypnotism. It can make you get up on stage and take your clothes off, or it can reveal hidden secrets about your past. And what it comes down to is 99% of it is suggestion by the person who's actually talking to you while you're hypnotized, that you create these crazy stories.
And when these people come back, they want you to believe that something is really crazy because they contort so bad that they break their jaws and limbs, and they break their necks to the point where they come back being paraplegics, and it all has to do with alien abduction. Which is where the fourth kind comes in. The fourth kind of experience with an alien is where you've been abducted and had an alien finger up your ass or something.
Yeah. Now, the third kind is that nice, friendly one where they play keyboards at each other.
What's important to note about this film is that it opens up, and what's her name?
Mila Jovovich.
Mia Jovovich walks out and says, "What you're about to see is totally true. And it's totally true. None of it's bullshit. We swear to God, it's fucking true. It's fucking true. It's fucking true. But it's bullshit." And the movie then pretends to be a pseudo-documentary recreation, reenactment of actual events that never actually happened. And the problem with this film is that they're selling you a bullshit story, and all the power this film has comes entirely from the fact that they're trying to convince the audience that it's legit.
And when you put it that way, I almost hate to spoil that for people, because I went and saw it and I was like, okay, I'm not buying this, but it's kind of creepy, because what they do is they show you, and it's kind of, I have to admit, it's kind of clever what they do here. They show you the actors like Mia Jovovich and Elias Koteas, and then they show you what is apparently, or what is pitched to us as real documented footage from a video camera, and we're supposed to believe that these are the real people, and they show you a split screen of what's happening with the actors and what we are supposed to believe are the real events. And we haven't seen that.
You know what? I want to give them points on doing something innovative. It's like, okay, you're showing the quote unquote, the real footage, and then actors doing like a dramatization, almost like you're watching, America's Most Wanted, America's Most Wanted reenactment of it.
Yeah.
But I'm like, okay, it's innovative in that nobody's done it. But then after 15 minutes of it, I'm like, yeah, nobody's done it because that's kind of stupid. And then as it goes on, I'm like, wait, that's not real footage. Those are just, okay, now you have professional name actors, and over here on the other side, you have shitty no-name
you've
actors.
never heard of, yeah.
But none of it's real at all.
Well, you know,
and even the part with Mila Jovovich walking out, and later at the end with the director, it looks like one of those NBC PSAs where they do everything except have the star go by and say, the more you know.
It's just a fantasy, ultimately, as is any film that's using, like, you know, that's fictional. It's using documentary type footage. And I think it's a clever way of doing it. Now, if more stuff actually happened during the film that was interesting, I would give this a higher rating.
I could forgive it if they came out at the end of the film and said, gotcha. But they don't. They want you to walk out of the film believing that this is bullshit or that this is real. And the only way you find out it's bullshit is if you do research and find out that none of this actually exists.
You know what? You're right. Because I talked to several people who walked out who totally bought into it.
Actually, it doesn't irk me at all, because of the very reason that people need to feel like dumbasses about stuff like this. They totally do, because it's only a matter of time. Do you think this guy's going to go through the next 20 years of his life believing this movie really happened? No. Sooner or later, there'll be a very embarrassing incident where someone goes, look, man, it was total bullshit, and you're a dumbass for believing it. People need more shit like that in their lives anyway. So I'm like, you know what? That doesn't bother me at all.
The thing that really kind of upsets me about this film is several of the ideas they play with are really cool. They play around with some stuff that would have made a very interesting actual film that wasn't trying to be bullshit, that was actually a fictional film, where they're kind of crossing over religion and demonic possession with alien implantation, and they're playing around with a lot of really cool ideas that would have made a really cool science fiction film, and instead they totally undercut it by trying to make the new Blair Witch Project.
Well, that's what I didn't like about it, really, because I was kind of going, okay, it's kind of dull, but I admire the innovation of the way they're telling the story. And as it starts building and they start doing this like really creepy, barely see through the crappy footage type of stuff, you're like, okay, this is kind of scary. But then they go, it might be Satan, and you're just like, okay, this is actually just kind of dumb. This doesn't really. That's where you're like, really, y'all believe this?
See, I didn't get that. I didn't think they were trying to be have a Satan element in there. I think that they were just actually having these aliens who thought that they were better than us and were just fucking with us. And they come down and they play with history, because the aliens come down and apparently they speak a language that is the first language of man,
Sumerian.
Yeah. So when they come down, it's indicated like, hey, they tell you that you can go and look up these statues and these carvings, and you can look up this language. So I think the movie's trying to be clever as far as
that stuff is true.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It is.
Pull in, and that's stuff that has been floating around.
I got to give the movie credit for actually trying to. If they're going to play a prank, they've actually gone and done their research.
No question.
Except if they were going to play a prank, they should have they should have had a whole history of websites out there all about this. So the minute you Google it, you have access to these videos, and people go, "How the hell did I not know this?"
Well,
and
they
then
did
at some point you can go, "Gotcha," but it's not. It's just a really crappy presentation of what could have been an interesting movie.
Yeah, and anybody can do their research. It takes an afternoon to hop on Google and Wikipedia to do that amount of research. But the way that the director inserted himself into it was something that really bothered me.
And the director is somebody that we can't even name. He has an African name.
We cannot name him.
It takes an alien to speak this language to pronounce his director's name. But let me see what his name is. It's
Akulinde.
It's Ola.
That's probably offensive, actually.
Olatunde Osunsami.
Which translates to man who makes bullshit.
Yeah, because he pissed himself in the movie.
But he thinks so highly of what he's done.
Really?
That's
You
what
think
killed
that?
me. Yeah. I mean, the fact that he brings himself in there, he's proud of this
But
movie.
he has to, because otherwise it's all too visible. I mean, it wouldn't take much research at all to figure out, oh, wait, that director doesn't even look like that, and they're claiming it is in here for the whole to just fall through. I mean, what they did here is they didn't build a bunch of fake websites. They just made a point of deleting anything on here that might lead you to discover that it was. Like all the actor profiles on IMDb for these other actors, they made them part of the contract was they deleted those actor profiles. So you couldn't figure out they were an actor.
Yeah, I was looking on IMDb, like the chick who Mila Jovovich plays, the real Abigail Tyler, quote unquote. First of all, you can tell she's an actor because she's supposed to be sick, and it's like,
well, she looks like a gray herself.
Well, they bring her
giant
out.
eyes.
Yeah, they bring out. She looks like an alien with a wig on. I was like, okay, y'all trying too hard to make her look sick. She looks like a goddamn zombie sitting up here.
The problem is there's all this faked footage in this thing that's supposedly real, but it's so astonishing and so fucked up that in the age of the internet or in the age of Fox News, this would have either popped up in its own special, or it would have showed up online and said, holy shit, look, you can actually see a UFO on the VHS.
It would have taken
tape.
20 seconds for this stuff to be out there and a meme long before this movie came out. I don't care how much effort that this giant movie studio that made a film with Mila Jovovich as their lead had to spend stamping out every last internet Yahoo video. It would have come out by now.
How many bullshit movies that they're going to sell as real can Elias Koteas be in 1 year?
Oh, that's right. He was in another movie,
Connecticut.
The Honey in Connecticut.
Oh, he was in that one too.
Playing the same character.
There he was a priest. This time he's a psychologist.
Oh, he's selling a bunch of bullshit.
Yeah, he's the guy, but he's the guy on the side who just comes in to console the family, whether he's wearing a priest collar or not. And
well, it's clear that they've run out of ways to try to scare us. It's like, okay, now the new thing is to convince everybody that it's real documentary footage.
And I agree that's a cheap trick. It is. And yet I will once again hand it to these guys for trying to do it a little bit differently than people have beforehand.
Yeah, and I got to give it to Cyrus. I mean, do you know how many conspiracy freaks out there are waiting, not just wanting to see, but waiting for the aliens to come? If in the movie, they have an officer who runs out of his car and he's like, oh my God, it's a spaceship, which is nothing but a big giant shadow passing by the screen.
Right.
And so he sees that. Do you know how many freaks would have seen this at the moment it came out? We wouldn't just be hearing about it on the release of this weekend. We would have seen this movie before this movie ever came out.
And there would have been books, and people would be citing it all the time because it's actual video footage.
And you make a point here. The movie takes a huge misstep in that it tries to sell the joke too hard, or the gag too hard, or whatever you want to call it. I admire them trying to make it as real as possible, but when you have Mia Jovovich comes out and, as you say, says, this is totally real. Whether you believe it or not is your fucking fault. You know, it's like,
that is what she says.
I mean, she's actually talking down to you. You know, you better believe it or you're stupid. You know, you'll never get to fuck me if you don't believe this movie.
Wait, I didn't see that.
No. That's how I read it too.
Yeah, that's in my mind. That's what's going on.
And I was kind of looking at it like, Mila, you ain't half bad, but still in HD, you kind of hit the wall.
No, you ain't good enough. You ain't good looking enough.
20 years ago when you made the Blue Lagoon sequel, okay, but
no, she comes out and they make her.
She was 14 when she made that.
They don't flatter her ass at all. The fourth kind is your ass like 20 times large on the screen. But
so we're talking so much about the hype here, but ultimately, let's take all that out of it, right? Let's take all
it's a boring
the
movie.
hype out.
It's a whole hour before anything significant happens.
I mean, and okay, that's true. And I think we're going to get into the same argument we did on Paranormal Activity, which is that I went, okay, this is actually using like the type of archival material about UFOs that's frightening to people who believe in this kind of thing. And if you choose to go along with it just for the sake of the movie, it's entertaining in that sense. However, it's not very entertaining in that sense.
Okay.
It's just not very well done, generally speaking, the performances, and you wait way too long for anything even minorly interesting to happen. And then when it finally does start to happen, you're like, okay, this is getting really dumb really fast.
Yeah, like when the sheriff wants to arrest her and you going,
what
why?
the fuck is wrong with that guy? What's
She
that
didn't do
actor's
anything.
name? He's another
Will Patton.
Will
Patton plays the sheriff, and actually Will Patton is very good in that role.
What the hell happened? They took my baby. They took her. They took my
What is she
baby.
talking about?
Someone kidnapped Ashley.
Okay, I want this entire house searched. I want everybody inside, outside, going through these premises, top to bottom. Ronnie, what'd you see?
Nothing. I came in here and she was gone.
What's going on?
August, listen to me.
I'm listening.
A beam of light came down, and they took her into the sky. They took my little girl up into the sky. I saw it.
Through the ceiling.
August, I saw it.
Through the ceiling.
Yes, they took her through the ceiling.
What is this craziness? What the hell is going on
Stop it.
here?
I couldn't stop
Okay,
it.
everybody clear this room. I want everybody out of here, except Ronnie and Abby. Ronnie, sit down right there, please. Okay, Abby, you sit down. Please sit down, okay? Sit here. I won't talk to you, okay? You just tell me. Listen, less than 5 hours after I arrest you, your daughter goes missing.
I told you.
Yeah, but that's horse. We know that that's not real. Tell me what happened.
You have actors here who are doing their best with what they have, but
which ain't much.
But you're right. I mean, all these movies like Blair Witch Project, Paranormal Activity, and then this, their whole scheme is that there's a lot of nothing happening until we get near the end of the film.
Well, the ideas are much better than the execution. I mean, that's the thing, is they're playing around with some stuff, and I can see how this can work in a pitch, but it doesn't work on the screen. It's just you spend so much time trying to figure out whether it's true or not, and that's where all the power from this film comes from. And the minute you realize it's cheating, you realize how poorly everything's being done.
Which I must tell you, people, if you didn't go into this assuming it's cheating, you need to reconsider your life.
Now stop being the skeptic.
No.
I mean, you're coming a little heavy on the skeptic with the skeptic brush.
I can't help it. It's it's plausible that these people were all abducted by aliens. Who spoke Sumerian.
It's
and
okay
we never
to
heard
say
about
it's bullshit,
it
but I mean, dial it back just a wee bit.
I don't think so.
You know, I'm just. This is me being fair. I have to admit to you, with me going in and having not researched this movie at all and know nothing that's going on, it actually freaked me out a little bit. I mean, not that I believed it, but I was like, as a movie, I don't know anything about it. I'm kind of like weirded out by some of these scenes here, and I think that's where it's going to be really effective. I'm sorry if we ruined the movie for you with this review, but if you go in cold like me, I think it really is kind of an enjoyable film.
Wow.
What would you give it?
So what you give it?
I would give it a low matinee. I mean, but that's to me, that like I have to go. Look, I'm just being honest with you. I know everybody's gonna look down at me, but when I went in, I'm not gonna be the guy that like hears everybody say like they didn't like it, and I'm gonna say, oh, I'm gonna jump on the bandwagon too. No, when I went in, I was like, I don't believe this at all. But as a movie, I'm like, yeah, it kept me wondering what was happening. I was never bored because they put enough character out there to make me wonder what the next thing was that was going to lead up to the ultimate exposure.
Yeah, I was kind of interested in it, and it did things that kept me back in when I was starting to pull out of it. I mean, yeah, like I said, I never thought for a second that this was real, but I'm able to go, okay, I'm going to go with this like I would any movie and suspend my disbelief and go, I'm going to try and look at this as it is real, because that's what you do when you go see a fictional film or read a fictional book or watch a fictional television show. But for me, it was just a rental. I mean, it's a solid rental, and honestly, you can just kind of halfway pay attention until about the maybe hour and 15-minute mark and then go, okay, this is actually starting to do stuff. But yeah, it's just a rental.
And I agree with you on that. I mean, because I think this movie's going to be ruined just by the pre-reviews that come out.
I think this movie's going to be ruined just by being a really terrible movie. You know what? I even if I suspend disbelief, because I'm willing to do that. I don't just walk in going like, aliens ain't real. Because I'm like, hey, you know what? I know they ain't real, but tell me a compelling story. And this didn't do that. There's a whole hour where it's completely boring, and then things start to happen. And when they start to happen, they aren't terribly interesting. There's things that don't make sense. And on top of all this, it adds insult to injury with trying to convince me that this is something real with this weird ass, like I said, NBC PSA footage. You know what? I would love to like soften and go at you guys on this, but no, this is some old bullshit to me.
Okay.
I'm really torn here. I'm torn halfway between Cyrus and Leon here, because as a story, I think it is some old bullshit. It really fails at what it's trying to do. But the ideas are interesting enough to play around with. If you're a science fiction fan, I think it's worth a rental just to play around with the ideas in your head for a little while and see where they made the mistakes in the storytelling. But I think they really made some tragic mistakes here, and they made the film the wrong way, and I don't think I can highly recommend it at all.
Yeah, and even with me saying matinee, it's going to be so hard to say that with people who already know what this movie's about.
It's so hard to rate it high.
You know what it reminded me of? Another movie that didn't get really good reviews, but really had my interest piqued, was the Mothman Prophecies.
Yeah, I like the
Mothman
Prophecies
too.
Yeah, I did too. And this is not as good as that at all.
No.
And I know people are going to come out and say, well, how could you say Paranormal Activity gets a rental, but you give this a matinee? And I walked in knowing completely everything about Paranormal Activity. I knew it was fake, and I knew that this was kind of like a riff off of the Blair Witch Project. I mean, this to me, they actually tried different techniques, so they took a more original approach to it.
Yeah, you were just looking at it going like, shit, I'm going to go pick up my alien costume from the costume shop, and all these girls in the neighborhood will suddenly be like, I was abducted in the middle of the night, and they poked me.
Yeah, it makes you wonder. It's like, what do? They touch you in the butthole. Wait, run that by me again? They touch you in the butthole. Yeah, you get probed violently, and you hurt the next day. Yeah, it was an alien. Sure, it was.
But see, that's the other thing thing about the movie is like all these people like going crazy. I'm like, they brought you back. They didn't kill you. So you got.
Well, they get so upset. Oh my god! I think it was an alien. I would have been like, cool.
Well, but it's to that point of like
my whole life was
you
wrong.
brought that
Exactly.
memory of me being abducted by aliens, so I felt justified in killing my whole family. I'm like, what the hell is this?
Yeah, that didn't make any sense.
No.
I'm like, wait, and that's the whole movie. It's everyone, the moment they've suggested in their heads, maybe it was an alien visitation, they freak out like a 3-year-old on a roller coaster.
It's no Alaska. Maybe they're just so homophobic that the idea that they were touched in the butt meant I have to kill everybody who thought that.
It is Nome, Alaska.
Oh, yeah,
there's probably not a more redneck town in America.
I know that's probably what it is.
These are the people who believe in aliens and elected Sarah Palin.
I know. That's like, this ain't Northern Exposure, folks.
I know.
Yeah, there aren't exactly Nietzsche jokes here.
No, they're like, I can't let anybody know I was touching the butt by a gay alien. I gotta kill my whole family. To people here in Austin, people be like, you know what? I got probed by an alien finger. That's kind of cool. Ain't
Write a song about it.
There's a book deal in that.
I have to get this out of my head because it's dug in there and I can't think straight.